Good morning and welcome to the Internet of Manufacturing. My name is Doug Drinkwater, I'm the editor of Internet Business. Delighted to be joined this morning by Ernst Stöckl Pukall. Talk us through Industry 4.0 and what the government has been doing to date.
What is the government doing? I had the ideas that I should say what the government doing is as a whole for the digitization of the economy, because it's a major political point or item on the agenda of all of the politicians nowadays. And we have launched a platform, Industrie 4.0, which involves the different stakeholders of society which have to work together to make digitization a success in Germany. To make Industry 4.0 happen, that we have to, as politicians or as government, we have to set the right environment that it will happen. That means we need to have proper regulation, but what might be even more important, that we support our industry, that they can really make the change to, or the transformation to Industry 4.0 happen, which is not so easy because I think you know that Germany is very strong in industry, that we have a strong sector with SMEs, that SMEs are working together with big companies. We don't see them so much as competitors. It's a fantastic ecosystem, but if we want to keep this strength, we have to enable SMEs or small and medium enterprises to really do the change. It's not our job to tell them exactly what each and every company should do, what their strategy should be, but we have to enable them to get the competence to decide on strategies and so on, that they really can take the right investment decision and that they are able to say, okay, we should change our strategy into the new digital age. Yeah? Because when you see Germany is very strong in the production and the B2B and the machinery and the plant engineering, even in electrical engineering, it's very strong, but business models are changing. Platforms are coming in and they are threatening other companies from other sectors. They are coming in these platforms. They are maybe taking away business from SMEs. So we have to make them aware and to prepare them. And one part is that the government sets up some subsidy schemes, but what is much more important is that to have the right information. We will set up, for example, more than 10 competence centers where in particular SMEs can get information. We sensitize them, we give them practical information, even we want to give them some test facilities, because you have to test Industry 4.0 solutions, as we heard before in the conference. Otherwise you don't know if it works or not. So we try to set up a comprehensive system. This system is, but it's not the only efforts we take. We spend a lot of government money in R&D schemes. We try to set up some information about how to use testbeds, some guidelines to support them. But this would not be enough if only the government would do. We need the support by all stakeholders, and that's exactly the platform Industry 4.0 we set up. Yeah.
And what's the ultimate goal then of this transformation? There's a lot of talk around smart factories and digitized factories. What's the ultimate goal? Is it to become much more efficient as a factory, to become much more productive?
I think in Germany, at least in SMEs, it's very often discussed under the head of improving efficiency, saving some resources, a more efficient resource planning and so on. I think it's much more because Internet of Things or Internet of Manufacturing, however you name it, it means that you get the whole value chains will change. Yeah, we'll have connection between more companies. You will the borders between the companies itself will blur. You will have the IT sector connected to manufacturing sector. So we will have a whole huge network will be set up over the years to really change production dramatically. And this does not only mean to improve efficiency. You have to be ready to communicate with other companies. You have to be ready to exchange data. You have to understand how future processes work. You have to understand how you your relationship to your main clients have to be shaped for the future. Yeah, you have to strengthen the ties to your clients. Maybe you can find new clients if you are digitized. But very sure is one thing: if you don't see what you have to digitize, if you don't have a strategy, then you endanger your own company, that you simply be out one day. Yeah. But I think the German companies are great because they are the they are the suppliers of the industries in the world, so they are aware and they know the processes of manufacturing in the world very closely. They know it very clearly. Yeah? And I think they have to use the opportunities they have now to combine this knowledge, this deep knowledge, with digital technology, so that they can really increase increase the value for their customers, yeah, through new services, through different kind of products, and so on and so on. I think that's the main thing. In the end, I think nobody knows where Industry 4.0 will end, but I'm very sure that we have maybe in 10 years already, or 15 years, we will have a completely interconnected value chains which are very intelligent, with autonomous parts in it, yeah, which is very often machines will communicate with people, yeah, and this autonomously. So this change completely the system, and you have to prepare for yourself. For me, it does not mean that you have immediately to buy Industry 4.0 solutions, because it's, somebody said one day, it's not a product, it's not a machine, it's not automatization itself, it's a whole concept. And this concept is only to start, and in some sectors it's already far advanced, like the automotive sectors. In other sectors it's only coming up. Yeah.
You talked a bit being a concept, and you talked earlier about SMEs perhaps not being as ready for this change. Why aren't they ready for the change, and what are the dangers if they don't embrace this? Because I know you talked about companies coming from other sectors and taking business.
Yeah. One very important issue is that these companies need to be in a position that they have the competence to decide about possible strategies, to work them out, and then to decide, is it the right strategy for me? So you need a huge amount of knowledge and capability simply to assess what's going on. We have to enable SMEs. Not smaller SMEs have not the manpower to do so. Yeah, it's even difficult to get qualified people nowadays in Germany, even in particular for SMEs. Yeah, you have to set up new departments in your company, just to deal with that. This is more or less a task which has the highest management level to fulfill. Yeah, they have really to show ownership. Yeah, and this takes some time, because it's easier just to go slowly, just to improve a little bit your production processes, just digitize a bit, yeah. But to really to introduce a completely new business model, which might be necessary from case to case, it's a huge step, yeah. And that's why it's going slowly, and I can understand that fully. I don't want to criticize that at all, yeah.
And what can they learn from the bigger companies? Because obviously the likes of GE, Siemens, these huge, gigantic companies, all already well on the way with Industry 4.0.
Yeah.
What can they learn from those giants in a sense of how they embrace Industry 4.0?
I think there are a lot of business relationships between them. As I said before, they're not necessarily competitors. They are working closely together. That makes the strength of the German industry. But this is exactly why we set up the platform Industry 4.0. And this platform, about 250 representatives of companies, academia, trade unions work together, yeah. And here we really take care that there is a right mix, yeah. So it's clear that the big companies, yeah, like we see here or tomorrow at the conference, yeah, they have some. How should I say? They are driving the process in a certain way, yeah. But together with the representatives of SMEs, they can work together and to find out what problems do SMEs are facing. How should we approach it? How can we develop guidelines? How can we create awareness? And because there are experts from all kind of companies together. They really try to work out where we have to sensitize companies, where to get their knowledge, where the knowledge can be improved. And this platform really sets a focus on the manufacturing side. Digitization is much more. We are always talked about platforms, about Amazon, Google, but we are here. We concentrate on industry without shutting down the whole process, because in the end all have to work together. Digitization means everything will be connected in the future.
And talking of working together, I know Industrie 4.0 has now established close ties with the Industrial Internet Consortium. Can you talk us through a bit about that relationship and what that means going forward?
The idea is, once again, the platform itself, it's business driven, or it's stakeholder driven. And when it comes to cooperation, international cooperation, there's one idea behind. You need to cooperate to have the right standards. You can cooperate to develop use cases. You can cooperate to use test beds. This is a complicated approach, but it's very important, and it's international. There won't be Industry 4.0 only in Germany or only in the US or in the UK. So it will be everywhere. So at least the big companies, they are already thinking extremely international, and that's why we have companies, German companies, which are members in both platforms, in IIC as well as in the platform Industry 4.0. So it really grew out of the platform that we should collaborate, and it's in particular standardization, but not only, because open standards, interoperability is the main issue in the end for SMEs. SMEs can only compete if their systems can be put into bigger systems, and they are interoperable. If they are closed standards or proprietary standards, then you have a problem, because then you can't sell, or it becomes very expensive for you, because you have to make your machine or equipment fit for many kinds of standards. If you get them. So that's very important. And I think with this cooperation, IIC and Platform Industry 4.0, it was very clear that open standards are better and international standards are better than if you have closed standards. I think there is some change in the approach of even of big companies. If you have a platform which is closed only for your own products, in the end, you might be less competitive. I think it will be like this. If you are open for other providers, then you really create competition, but you can place your own products much better as well.
And talking internationally, and I think you touched upon it earlier, as did Richard Soley, which was, obviously a number of countries are developing their own schemes. I know the likes of China and obviously France, who I think there's been some recent discussions with the IIC. How far are they behind Germany, and what do they need to do to catch up?
I think I should not judge how far other countries are. Definitely Germany is very well advanced. Compared to China, I would say China's interest is more to come from mass production into more high quality production. Some people would say it's still Industry 3.0. It will be a mixture. They have in China's a quality initiative 2025. That's why I'm very much interested in international cooperation. But anyhow, we are just in the process of setting up this cooperation. It has to be business orientated in the end, even if it's in China still more government driven or organized. But we have to bring together companies. It has to be a win-win situation. We are working on that. But it's not only that. We have established a special working group with China on standardization for Industry 4.0, and we have set up recently MOU in the field of research and development, which was done by the Ministry of Research and Education. So I think we can benefit from each other. China is a big market for German companies, and China is interested in German technology. So it's a win-win situation we want to make the best of.
And so what do you see then finally as the future of manufacturing in particular, and how IoT or the Internet of Things plays an important part in the future of production plants? How do you see that the manufacturing plants of tomorrow looking?
I think the future manufacturing plants are totally connected. As I said before, we will have complete processes where the engineering of a new product, innovation, will be closer linked to the consumer, and in between there's manufacturing. Manufacturing will be much more decentralized because you will be able to decide, or even the product itself will be able to decide to which factory it might go to be processed, the next step, or where it's best. So everything will be interconnected, but it's a long way to go, I think. But it's a fantasy, and when I started my job half a year ago, I really, oh my God, there's something coming up, and the good thing is that more and more people see that it's really a change. Some people, Richard Soler before said it, is it transformation or is it a disruptive process? For me, it's both, If you are too slow, then it will be a disruptive process for you, otherwise it can be transformational.
Ernst, really appreciate your time today. Enjoy the rest of the conference, and good luck.
Thank you very much.